BJ Bennett and Matt Osborne here with your SouthernPigskin.com Minute Team Previews. And first up, Matt, the University of Alabama, a team that for the last couple of years has been defined by a power running game and exceptional defense. And I want to start by talking about this offense. Trent Richardson gone. The offensive line led by Barrett Jones should again be spectacular. But will we see A.J. McCarron, who had a tremendous national championship game, emerge as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, and alongside Deron Carter, who comes in at receiver from Ohio State, give Alabama more of a consistent passing presence?
Yeah, I really think we should expect that from the Crimson Tide this year. And you look at the end of last season, Alabama really opened things up, and particularly in the national championship game against LSU, let A.J. McCarron throw the ball, really spread it around, and really seemed to gain a lot of confidence in him at the end of the year. And he responded with tremendous play down the stretch in the national championship game, arguably having his best game of the season. And I think when you look with the loss of Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson in back-to-back years, Eddie Lacy is surely a quality running back and a solid offensive line. But you look at it now, hey, we can have more balance in our offense. A.J. McCarron has proven on the biggest stage that he's more than capable of shouldering the load and leading the team through the air. So I think there's a very, very real chance that we will see them go through the air a little bit more this year. And of course, on defense, you look at Nick Saban and what he's been able to do in his tenure at Alabama. I think you always expect big things from the Crimson Tide defense.
Yeah, and you have some stars you have to replace, some all-conference type guys, but I think Robert Lester, it's really his time to shine and get the national accolades he deserves. Was one of the national leaders in interceptions a couple of years ago. Without Mark Barron, Dante Hightower, Courtney Upshaw, I think he's really going to emerge as the quarterback of that back seven unit. And Matt, I think he's a future first-round NFL draft pick, just a spectacular starting point as Alabama looks to, I hate to say rebuild, but looks to plug and play on defense.
Right, there's certainly no rebuilding for Alabama on the defensive side of the ball, but in the secondary, only returning one starter, and that is Robert Lester at free safety. And he's a very ball-hawking safety, has great instincts, good range, can really make some big plays for them out of the defensive backfield. But I think up front on the defensive line and at the linebacker position, very solid. You have C.J. Mosley and Nico Johnson at linebacker, Jesse Williams on the defensive line. Really solid play up there. And as we've mentioned, just on the defensive side of the ball with Alabama, year in and year out, they're playing well. And 2 years ago, only returned 2 starters, gave up 13.5 points per game, bringing back 5 starters this year from a team that allowed an amazing 8.2 points per game last year. You have to expect big things out of them.
The national champions last season, a shutout over LSU in the BCS title game. The status quo remains the same: championship or bust in Tuscaloosa.